Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's time for our day one patch review. We saw Paladin get a bunch of nerfs, we saw some buffs, a wild ban, and well, gone over social media, gone through some stats. We'll give a little bit of a mini meta update, as well as how people are feeling about the patch, as you can tell by Bunny Hopper's Crazed Alchemist tweet and some other people's tweets. Maybe not so thrilled about the Lady Esthino change. I will talk about how I feel about that. I also just want to talk about Duels and how I feel like the mode is just a complete loss. I don't understand what they're doing with it, effectively killing it, even more so with the latest patch. Also talk about the wild ban. There's creators of both sides, whether they felt like it was a good ban, a bad ban. We'll also talk about Reform Portrait showing up in the shop, kind of, not really, but definitely coming, that's for sure. And I wanted to announce the giveaway winners. 4 winners getting $100 of Hearthstone packs each for our 69,420 sub giveaway. It's those 4 names there. They've been messaged. If I don't hear back from them in 24 hours, pick new winners. Again, thank you guys so much for the continued support. We'll have more giveaways pretty shortly with the next expansion probably being announced. We always do mega bundle giveaways and all of that, so stay tuned. There should be lots more opportunities for you guys to get free stuff. And as always, quick reminder, every single time there's a balance patch, you want to type in refund in your collection. Look for those cards. I've got a lot of dust to get here, but fully disenchant these cards, including Filter by Wild, because Crimson Clergy is fully disenchantable. Get that dust. I always recommend disenchanting everything. You can always recraft it later, but I typically hold on to the golden since I am a completionist, and I kind of have a ridiculous amount of dust as it is. And yes, before we get into the meta update and stuff and all that, this appears in the actual client itself. You look under Portraits, Warlock, there's like an empty Reform thing. You can't click it or anything like that, but Reform, it's coming. We don't know if it'll be Legendary Portrait or whatever. We kind of know what those voice lines are. We had a video on it, but I can't wait to see what it'll be. So yeah, on social media, there was a lot of kind of like negativity towards the Lady Esthino nerf. I'm just going to leave this here. Crazed Alchemist, basically, you know, Lady Esthino will go to 4 attack. It's, you know, just a 1-mana nerf. As Casey said here, you just play this over abusive. So most of the time, it just ends up being a plus 1 mana nerf on Esthino. Lovely. I will say though, my big take from, I play a lot of Spell Demon Hunter this month. I got Legend with it. It is a significant change. The combo aspect of the deck basically stays the same. Like, you still can beat Priest and any slow deck because you can still combo it with something like Crazed Alchemist. You could still do Abusive or Rowdy Fan or whatever, but you can't just play it on turns 5 and 6 and OTK. Like, that's the thing that would drive me the craziest. I don't really have a problem with a combo card crushing a slow control deck. The fact that you could just tempo it out and basically murder people, even fast decks on turns 5 and 6, I feel like it's been eliminated. And so far, I'm a fan of the change. We'll see how I feel about that as things plays out. I don't know. For me, I feel like it's being like overly negative to the point where it's like, oh, well, I just combo with these 3 cards and it's still broken. Well, you still have to combo it with cards rather than just basically playing it by itself a lot of the time. And the matchup ready to save the combo, it's still the same. Like, it still beats the slow decks, it just loses harder to the aggressive decks, which I think should be the deal with a combo deck. Other complaint I saw, which I anticipated, was nerf Paladin, and we see Druid here on turn 5 with 2 Thaddeus's, a 6/5, and yeah, I think this deck's gonna be problematic, and that's the biggest takeaway I have from the current standard meta. Look across all ranks, it's very early on, but you can see before we had just the 2 classes over 50%, Hunter, Paladin, we're already up to 4 with no class, almost every class at 45% or higher, Rogue being last. So that's actually a pretty big improvement. But if you look at the meta at higher ranks, 1000 Legend, you already have like Enraged Warrior, Burn Mage, and Holy DK. Again, these numbers are super unreliable. I'm not recommending decks yet, that'll be tomorrow. But Thaddeus Druid was up there. This is basically filtered by 1 day, by the way. It's gonna have like pre-patch numbers in there. It's not reliable numbers. But Thaddeus Druid, this deck is was really moving up the win rate. Newly discovered, pretty high optimal deck, and it's just a really frustrating experience to get that high roll. And it's basically draw Death Blossom Whomper, which got buffed from 6 to 5 mana, or you lose the game. It's a 65% mulligan win rate, which has been typically a number that is historically just unhealthy, and you go with the location, and that's the deck. You cheat out Flesh Behemoth, Jailer, Mishmash, Mosher, Thoughties. It's really gross. You're probably going to see a lot of it. It's probably going to be my deck recommendation video tomorrow, to say the least. But that was a deck I was kind of concerned about, that its weakest matchup was Pure Paladin. It got nerfed, and I already see within a day the complaints emerging. A friend of mine, even a streamer friend Cantaloupe, quit his stream after getting high rolled 2 games in a row after like an hour and a half of playing with the patch. So pretty frustrating play experience to see that. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. I think one of the main reasons it didn't get hit on the patch is this deck just like became a pretty big deal at higher ranks, like in less than a week. And that's what happens. And sometimes things just don't get hit, and expect to be pretty frustrated by this. With regards to Wild, the Clergy ban, the one drop that enabled the OTK deck, created some controversy as well on Twitter, with Corbett saying the only reason to go after Clergy is if you're sick of seeing Reddit posts titled "Turn 3 Kill is game now." However, with our Hearthstone going dark, I still think it is dark. It's driving me crazy. I need my memes to read. I post my own on Twitter, but they're not as good. It says this card already see the harshest nerf possible, ban unnecessary. But then you had Martian Boo on the other side, another Wild content creator. Clergy banned in Wild. This deck kind of ruined the first days of the mini set while people were playing it a lot, but players eventually figured out it's not that great and largely dropped it. It might not seem worth it, but I still do think it's a good change. Bundle Cake seems like the ban a lot of people wanted because it also hits Tony Druid, but I think that's a very short-term solution. Both decks were hanging out the fringes to get a little more support to be playable, and it goes on to, like, you know, the actual problems. Like, Druid is a whole mishmash of stuff if you want to hit that. Don't think Funnel Kicks would hit it. You could hit Radiant. That would have done it for Priest, but maybe they have plans with that future Wild thing we're supposed to find out about in probably the next month or two. And also, yeah, there's still the big scams in Wild, like Block, Firemancer, Flurgle, Scargill, Big Priest. It's very interesting to see. I just think any deck that basically allows for a turn 3 OTK probably shouldn't exist, regardless of win rate. I'm okay with the ban of Clergy, but I would have rather they hit Radiant Elemental, because that card got not only Clergy banned, but it also got test subject changed in like the last 2 content drops. And I feel like, yeah, you probably should adjust Radiant at some point, because cards should probably cost mana. Just look again at Sorcerer's Apprentice and all of that. So not a huge fan of banning Clergy. I would have rather hit Radiant, but I guess if you're going to do one thing, eliminate a turn 3 OTK deck, I think that's all right. Even if it is a 40% win rate thing, it's a play pattern they really don't want to see. And the last thing I wanted to end off is just how I feel about Duels. Like, I'm really frustrated. Duels was a mode I used to play all the time, like every day, on and off stream. I loved it. You could do crazy stuff. There was all sorts of just cool treasures, passives, hero powers, heroes, all sorts of cool stuff. And in like the last 6 months, they annihilated the buckets where it's based on expansions, so you usually just get crap. That feels bad. They've nerfed basically every good treasure, every good passive possible, to the point where they're just boring, and it just feels like a dull arena or a ladder. Like, it's been this really crazy devolvement of just power level with no additional, like, stuff to do. No new treasures really. Like, we saw Diablo added, which was an old asset. We saw the Deathlight heroes added, which looked like they were old assets that they just threw in. And yeah, I even had a Duels reveal back like last summer. Like, I was that into Duels. It was awesome. And I basically don't play anymore. So I tweeted this out because it's just how I feel. And I'm curious how you guys feel too, because I know a lot of you guys play Duels, and Regis chimed in here and we're gonna talk about what Regis said, and I think it's a good take. I said I'm lost in the direction of Duels. It was originally a mode where you could do crazy stuff unseen in any other mode. Now pretty much everything has been nerfed multiple times, nothing new has been added for ages, and the buckets rarely work. What's the plan? Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, it just doesn't feel the spear of the mode. It just feels like, you know, they want to do, it feels like it's almost like a maintenance mode, right? The buckets auto update based on expansions, and it's just fueled by cards. And that's basically what Regis goes into here with purely speculation, but it feels like they want new cards to drive more of the novelty in the mode because they're making less or no new content. And if you have super powerful established decks / treasures that already define the meta, new cards are less likely to make an impact. This thought makes me very sad, but it kind of makes sense. Definitely feels like it's in a soft maintenance mode of sorts if we don't see substantial new Duel specific content soon. And Regis still plays Duels, still uploads Duels content, but you can see it's waning, it's struggling, and it just sucks. For a mode that was really fun, I thought it really turned the corner, got really sweet, and then Atesh, the lead of Duels, left, and it's just gone to, like, you know, nobody's really that dedicated to it, it feels like. Like, they have the modes team looking over it, but it just doesn't feel the same at all, and I don't play it, like, almost at all anymore, and it just kind of feels sad to me. So curious how you feel about Duels. Like, it just does feel like it's on its last legs, and it still says it's in beta, right? Like, what's the plan? It's in beta and all of that. Really sad about Duels, a mode I really enjoyed, and even with like the whole super draft stuff going on in Arena, the power level going on in Arena, I still rather play that or play Standard. Standard's probably my favorite mode at the moment. I just don't really play it much anymore at all. Anyways, that's the day one patch review. Again, the metas for the most part relatively unchanged. Paladin still pretty good. Like, nothing got killed. Everything's still playable, and you'll probably see that in tomorrow's deck recommendations. That not a huge amount of change, but still a lot of frustrating stuff out there, in particular that Druid deck and all that. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.